field, and they're going to have multiple tight ends on the field, but they could be in formations that don't look like tight end formations, and then jump into something that's more of a heavy formation. But their tight end's a good one. He's a pro prospect, number 87. Quarterback can hurt you with his legs. That's what scares you. Teams that drop back and you cover them, and then they take off, and quarterback hurts you with his legs. Defensively, excuse me, I compare them. They're very similar to North Dakota. As far as what they do, 4-3 personnel. They're really physical up front. Got some good players up front. Number 9, he's really a great player, and very athletic on the back end, and they're really good in the red zone. They've only given up, I think, 65% touchdowns in the red zone. So back end, they're tough on you. They can play some man. They did a lot of different things on film against whoever they were playing. They got into some 3-down stuff, some odd stuff against certain teams. Cal, they played a 30 stack. So they have the ability to do a lot of different things. But they're good. They're very good.
What's it like just going up, the big guy kind of seems like it's an offensive league, and spread them out, throw them around. They're kind of like an old school, maybe like Big Ten type team, it seems like. What's it like just kind of playing a team like that for the first time this year?
Well, no, our defense likes that. I think that's a good matchup for us. Our strength really is the front seven for our defense, and so it really is similar to what we were facing last time out against North Dakota, and it is kind of old school football. And I know our defense is excited, and they're going to try to probably shorten the game and try to run the ball, those types of things. So you have to adjust. You have to adjust it, every week.
Keenan, when you're going up against a good defense, how do you kind of like put that challenge upon yourself in the offense?
You try not to change it too much from week to week. Obviously, in this conference, the Big Sky, anything can happen, so we prepare for a good defense every week. Specifically, these guys, probably just from what I've seen on film, one of the best defensive backfields that I've seen in my playing time here. Just a lot of experience back there, and a lot of older guys. So that's just something that we have to prepare for going into this week. Is just with our younger guys, just getting them ready to go up against veteran DBs, and just the physicality that they play with. Being ready to match the physicality coming from our end.
How does it influence your mindset as a receiver when you know you're going to see a ton of man coverage like they play?
You love it. I mean, to be the best, you got to beat the best, and they're, I think, statistically the #1 defense in the conference. So, I love that matchup. I love the competition that comes with going against a good defense, because, hopefully when it's all said and done, we get a little bit more respect out of this game.
Myles, what about for you? When you're going against a physical team that likes to run the ball and things like that, how do you feel like you guys match up with them?
We look forward to that. We're a pretty physical defense. Our front seven, I would say, is one of the best in the nation. Obviously, we might have a little bit of a biased opinion on that, but we love to defend the run. I know personally, I consider myself kind of a run stopper. A lot of the guys in the defensive line, we take pride in stopping the run. Coach Hendrick is always stressing we're going to stop the run this week, and physicality is kind of our strong suit.
What does the bye week do for you as a player? Just kind of getting rested up and stuff.
Well, it's big for academics. Helps you, lets you, catch up with some schoolwork. You might be behind, or gives you the opportunity to get a little ahead. Being a student athlete, it's really tough to keep on your schoolwork, especially when you got, internships or clubs or whatever else you're involved in. But from a physical standpoint, it's just great to kind of take a load off the body, get your legs back underneath a little bit, hit the training room a little harder, and get your body ready.
Myles.
I know in the bye week that's for the coaching staff is a big recruiting week, but from a game standpoint, is there more scheming that gets done when you have 2 weeks to prepare for a team, or is it the same, as if it was just a 1 week game?
No, you get a little bit more in, and you had a chance to watch tape last week and put some things in and practice some we didn't practice very long or hard last week, but we wanted to be able to go out and at least line the scout teams up and start looking at their offense and their defense, and then we got after it obviously yesterday and today and getting the rest of the game plan in. But it's nice to be that much farther ahead. You know, we're a couple days further ahead than we would have been, and by noon we were almost done with the game plan. Usually that goes pretty late into the night on Monday and Tuesday morning.
Coach, when a team plays a team like Cal Poly the week before you, do you look at that film at all, or is that kind of just a wash when you were watching Weber's defense against Cal Poly last week?
Yeah, you don't. You want to watch tape of similar formations and styles because they're going to play completely different. Their defense, they had a good scheme against Cal Poly, but it has nothing to do with us. The tough thing, because we did that the last couple of years, the tough one is coming off of that as a defense, that style of play and how physical it is to have to stop Cal Poly's style of offense. It takes its toll on you a little bit.
Tell me about just playing some special teams and a few of the starters getting out on kickoff coverage and stuff. Kind of how that came about, and as a starter, a guy that plays a lot. Kind of your mentality in wanting to do that.
Well, I love special teams. I pride myself on it. My freshman year, that was my role with special teams, and I really embraced it. And I felt like I had a bit of an impact on it freshman year. And so obviously last year, with getting a little bit more playing time on the offense, you have to gauge how much energy you're putting into playing special teams as opposed to putting your energy into playing on offense. But I think as I got older and talked to, obviously Coach Stitt and Coach Ferreter, they loosened the reins a little bit. And now that we're playing well offensively, they've allowed us to, a few of the offensive guys to go and play special teams because they know that we can handle what we're doing on offense. And that's awesome that we can help our team out in that facet of the game. We want to be a complete team in all three phases. So if I can play special teams and help my team win that way as well, then I'm more than excited to do that.
Coach, how do you determine which starters, which guys are gonna, like Jerry was out there, us, Connor. How do you determine kind of which guys you think would be good in that role?
Well, we wanted to bring some excitement and some energy to special teams, and we just felt like that there wasn't much, and to take a guy like Keenan and put him on kickoff, he brought a lot to it, and once we put him and Markel on there, then kind of got an idea of let's put a lot of guys on this thing and let's make this really, really special, and let's make the team beating Coach Niekam's door down to try to get on the kickoff. We put Sammy on there, and Jerry, and Strom, and you've loaded it up, and it's a lot of fun to be on that unit. So it's just the leadership. The guys look up to players like Keenan, and when they're out there, it's different. They raise everyone else's play when they're out there, and it's hard to do when you have a bunch of backups on kickoff that they're just going to go about their business. It's ho hum. Not with these guys. It's 110% after it, and they hold everybody accountable on that unit.
What do you think of a matchup like this? Two teams with just one loss in league play, two top 25 teams. As a player, what do you think of a big time matchup like this?
Obviously on paper and stuff like that, it's a great matchup, and it draws a lot of attention. But just from a team standpoint, I've always tried to say, you prepare for a scheme. You're not really preparing for a team. Obviously they're good and they bring a lot of things to the table, but we have to figure out what we can do schematically to go against their scheme and beat their scheme. They have a great defense, like that's been said, and whatever their ranking is in the top 25 versus ours. That doesn't change the fact that on Saturday, when we take the field, we have to beat whatever coverage they're going to come out in, or whatever defense they're going to come out in. So, you put a little bit of thought into it, but I'm hyped every Saturday to play football, so it doesn't really change too much.
Week in, week out, whatever the next team is, that's what we're focused on. But with this bye right in the middle of the conference season, you address the team at all in a long view and say, hey, first half behind us, good work there, but we got a big second half coming up with even a tougher schedule in total? And do you look at it at all in those sort of bulk durations?
Well, we talked a lot about, playing a whole season all winter. We addressed all those things all winter long and spring and so you really do have to chip away at these things, because if you look at them in bulk, as you say, then it's a much taller task. It's much easier to look at it and chip away at it. And for our offense and defense, if we're saying, hey, they're going to be in this coverage, this is how we're going to beat it. It's one play, and you just gotta keep adding these plays together to win a ball game. You can't go out and win a game. You got to go out and have great plays back to back to back and deal with the adversity that you have in the game. And and then you look up at the scoreboard at the end. And when we first got here, all people talked about was championships, but they weren't willing to put in the process and the work and all these things to get to a championship. And this team is really focused on these little things, and the way that we play each week, then you get to the end and you're like, wow, that's pretty good. That's a great game, and we found a way to win. So it's a way that you always have to look at it. It's a faceless opponent. We look at their players. We know who their good players are, but it truly is a faceless opponent and a different style of defense and offense and special teams. So we have to prepare for those. And if you go about it that way, then our kids will always play a high-level football. Keenan says he's going to be ready every week, and that's what every one of our players has to be ready every week to play at the same level, give us the same effort, and that's what gives us a chance. And if you start looking at the different games, on paper this looks like a big game. Well, then when it looks like on paper it's not a big game, where are you going to play? What level are you going to have? What effort do you give? Do you give 70% to win it? And then all of a sudden you get beat by somebody you probably shouldn't get beat by. So we want the exact same effort every single week from our guys, and the games will play out differently, but we're going to beat that scheme. We're going to have as much success as we possibly can against that scheme, and we have to be aware of their good players. But I don't want our team to circle certain games. Every game's big, and football's a great sport. You only get guaranteed 44 of them. And you got to take advantage of every single one of them, or you'll be regretting it down the line. So this is a big game because it's the next game, and it's going to be fun to go out and prepare this week and get our guys ready to go on the road. To prove can we win 3 in a row on the road? That's a big deal. And especially at a place like this.
Myles, Coach Seymour talked last week about just priorities in improving the tackling. Did you see that carry over against North Dakota? And have you seen you guys just improve these last couple of weeks since you've been doing more in practice?
Yeah, we definitely had some tackling circuits in practice. But I think most of it just had to do with kind of maybe a bit of a lack of focus against Idaho State. I don't think it was anything fundamental-wise. It was like we don't have guys who can't tackle. We have some great players on offense and defense, and special teams too. There's just maybe a little bit of a pitfall that week. I think we picked it up the next week, and they were able to continue to improve.
Two guys you play in front of, James Banks and Connor Strum. What's it like playing in front of those two guys and just the amount of tackles they are able to get?
It's great. They're great leaders in the field. You got Connor Strum, we call him the War Daddy. He's always ready to go. He's always ready to beat somebody up if he has to. Not actually. But it's great to play with some guys like that. They play their butts off every week. They're great leaders on and off the field, and they always give their all. It's good to have some guys like that on the field with you.
Keenan, Coach talked about maybe seeing some schemes defensively that you guys weren't, that teams hadn't shown on film, but you guys were able to adjust within the game. What's that take to make those adjustments within the game?
It's communication, really. Within the receiving corps, I can say, when I come off the field or Justin comes off the field, we're communicating with what Jerry saw or what Samori saw, and then also relaying that to Coach Ferreter and Coach Sell and the quarterbacks as well. But also telling the guys that will be going in behind us, like when Sammy's going in or LT's going in, just saying, hey, look out for this, or they might be doing this coverage that we didn't really prepare for, but we've seen it before. So you just you have to be flexible in a game and be able to adjust, and to make those necessary adjustments to schematically beat the other team. Teams aren't going to come out and show you exactly what you think. Some teams will, but for the most part, they're going to game plan for you just like you are for them. So I think it's just coming out and being flexible and willing to adjust, and I think we do a great job of that.
Keenan, how does the bye week help the wide receiver chemistry with Griz?
Well, this week was primarily just getting our bodies back right. I think the chemistry thing is something that will be ongoing. It'll just work itself out as we get along. I think this will be his fifth start. So those things, those work itself out throughout practice and as we get further into the season. But I think what it does do is gives him a mental break. That's a lot on your plate to get into this system, and having to get into it the way that he did. But I think it gives him a little bit of mental break where I think he went home and got to see some family, which is awesome for him. And then get to refocus. Now it's game week. We're refocused, and now we're focused on the next opponent.
After the Portland State game, you said, winning on the road was the next step, and then winning at Idaho State, the next step was, coming from behind and winning. What's the next step on the road, or is it just sustaining that success, whatever comes in your way?
Well, I think it's you'd love to go on the road and beat a top 25 team, and that type of a caliber team. But I think the next step is being able to come off this open week and play with a lot of intensity and have that same type of effort and play consistent football week in, week out. Our effort that our guys gives us a chance every single week to win, and that's all you can ask for. So if that, football season's so long and it's such a grind, can your team week in, week out give you that great effort they have, for 7 weeks? And the thing that really helps is they're having a lot of fun. They enjoy practice. They enjoy the weight room. They enjoy off the field with each other. They enjoy traveling. They really care about each other. They like each other. They're fun to be around. And for a coach, it's easy. We go out on the field, and they're the ones that are bringing the energy. You don't have to motivate them. So if we can keep that level very, very high with our effort and our intensity and stay focused, you got to add some execution in there. It's not just effort. Then we're going to have a chance to win every game, going down the stretch. But it's this week on the road. It's a new challenge against a very, very good football team, and our guys are up for it, and they're ready to get back after things and prepare to play great football.